Welcome inside episode 688 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains on a game day. The Ottawa Senators are taking their quest to the Wild Wild West, going up against the Dallas Stars in Texas.
And the Belleville Senators beat up on their old captain Logan Shaw and the Toronto Marlies last night.
Still weird seeing him wearing the C in blue. All that plus a potential precursor to the sale of the Ottawa Senators. We'll get into that and more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Thursday, December 8th. The show is free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube, where the best way you can help the show grow is to like every video by clicking the thumbs up and subscribing to the Locked On Senators channel. The road to 5,000 subs continues, and we do it after each and every show, which is why we need to get you to not only subscribe, but hit the little bell there. And when I say do it after every show, of course, I'm talking about the postcast, which is going to be a little later tonight with an 8:30 Eastern time start. Pilsy, are you napping?
Oh, I'm napping today for sure, yes. But I have been working on my sleep schedule. I'm off the Jake Sanderson sleep schedule. I'm going to bed a little later these days, getting the afternoon coffees brewed and some energy drinks before the game. So we're locked and loaded for this one, Ross.
All right, and remember that game days taste better at Shawarma Palace. Go get one today. The deal they've got going on right now on Uber Eats is outstanding. So go check out our friends at Shawarma Palace. We'll tell you about them more later on. Pilsy, we've got an interesting nugget about the Senators trade. We'll save that as well. But first, let's just pick up where we left off with this Senators team. They've been good on the road, which is something we haven't been able to say in a while. What's your mood going into tonight's game against a team? I said red hot, like they've been a top team all year. They're battling with Winnipeg for top spot in the Central. They have so much talent on their roster, but we were a little surprised. They've only won 5 of their last 10 games.
Yeah, their last 10 record, I don't think reflects how well they've been playing. But Ross,
I mean, 2 regulation losses, though, at the same time. The Sens would kill for that.
Yeah, honestly, for real. But this is a team that I'm going to, unfortunately, I have the same mood up against Dallas as I did up against Vegas. I don't see any sort of chance where the Ottawa Senators win this game. And you know what? I mushed the Sens up against the Kings, so maybe the reverse mush will work here. But especially with the news that Jake Ottinger will be starting, I think this, buckle up, Sens fans. This may be a tough performance here.
Hey, at least we don't have to stay on Robertson point watch. Jason Robertson was on an 18-game point streak that was snapped against Toronto in their last outing. 18 games, Pilsy. Not only was it an 18-game point streak, but he had 34 points and 21 goals in those 18 games. Unbelievable showing for him.
Insane. And a lot of people thought it was crazy that Robertson was holding out and waiting for the right contract. Well, I mean, he might be the most underpaid player in the league right now, and he got a pretty decent ticket. So that is crazy what that kid is up to, and definitely he is a major threat for the Dallas Stars.
Meanwhile, for the Ottawa Senators, Tim Stützle is really putting himself into that superstar echelon. Not quite up with Jason Robertson, who I'd say has moved to like a top 10 player in the league.
Jason Robertson, like Hart candidate for easily.
Huge winger too. You guys definitely got to keep your eye out for tonight. We'll get to our lookout players, locked on players later on, but I want to give some stick taps to Tim Stützle right now. Over the last 16 games, ever since that loss in Tampa, 21 points in his last 16 games, Pills.
Yeah, that's impressive. And he's been really clicking. But Ross, the unfortunate thing is we can highlight how good Timmy has been. We can highlight how good Brady has been. And we can highlight how good Claude Giroux has been. And that's where we stop. Like that, this offense completely relies on one line of 3 players. Everyone else has basically gone ice cold here, and a lot of Sens fans are calling to switch Stützle onto that line, or at least get him playing with DeBrincat. I mean, at this point, the Sens are so down in the standings, it's not that big of a deal. But the only line that's clicking, I hesitate to break that up because they've been able to at least produce something 5-on-5, whereas no one else has been able. So I'd be a little nervous about breaking them up and then having literally no one producing at even strength.
Yeah, so it's almost like, what do you want? Do you want to keep what's producing as it is, or do you try to shake things up to get more guys getting underway? As we mentioned yesterday, the Sens are 6-6-1 in their last 13 games, right? Like that in itself, it's a nice number. Like, for compared to what we saw at the start of the year, it's not impressive, but
Yeah.
better. But when you look at like who's been producing over those 13 games, I'm going to pull it up actually on YouTube because I think it's super interesting to see all these numbers. Do you want to run through this, Pillsy? Because you mentioned it. The top guys are the top guys. They've been producing. But everyone else, it's like, where are the goals coming from? Where are the points coming from? Like, look at the drop off afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, you go from Timmy with 16, and this is in the past 13 game sample size here. Brady with 13, Claude Giroux with 12. So basically, everyone's at a point per game pace on that top line. I mean, DeBrincat and Shabbat with
Look,
nine points
look,
is still good.
look to the right with Alex DeBrincat, 8 of his 9 points on the power play.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair point. And then Drake Batherson, 6 of his 8 points on the power play. So yeah, that's the defining factor there.
1 even strength point. Let's sort it by even strength points, because 5 on 5.
That's the way to do it.
Power play.
Yeah.
We know the Sens power play has been lights out. Like Thomas Chabot, 5 even strength points in 8 games. I like that. Derek Brassard and Mathieu Joseph are the top forwards in even strength production beyond the top line. That is simply not a recipe for success.
No, it really isn't. And yeah, that's a major issue for the Ottawa Senators, because up against teams like the Dallas Stars 5-on-5, when they have a deep lineup like they do, and we'll get to the lines later on in the show, there's not going to be any easy opportunities here.
Alex DeBrincat isn't even on this, and we're at all the way down to
Parker Kelly is there. Yeah, oh boy. Yep.
I didn't realize things were that desperate at even strength for Alex DeBrincat right now. How do you get him going? Is it as simple as, hey, if we are going to break up that top line, why don't we try the line we talked about all summer long with Timmy centering DeBrincat and Giroux?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a try. It's just so unfortunate that Josh Norris isn't here, because if Josh Norris is here, I don't think we're talking about this, because then you keep that top line of Brady, Norris, Batherson. I'm sure they would still be able to click, and then you have the opportunity for DeBrincat, Stützle, and Giroux here. I'm going to stick with my opinion. I don't think you break that top line up, just because at least they are producing, and there's not much else you can do. They're going to have to figure it out. The other 3 lines are going to have to figure it out here. And we mentioned maybe a Belleville call up and shifting Mott down to the 4th line and having a guy like Crooker or, in my opinion, Sokolov's the right guy to bring up for that 3rd line. So maybe that's the direction you look. But yeah, it is astounding. Like, we knew it was bad, Ross, but I'm glad we pulled those numbers up, because that is insane how poor everyone else has been even strength.
Oh my goodness, right? Wow. But then here's a little spin zone. Alex DeBrincat in his career against the Dallas Stars, 19 points and 11 goals in 23 games. Almost a point per game player in his career. Hopefully he can get on track. I mean, like, you're looking at it, and when you watch the game from that back check against LA last weekend, like, he's still doing some things right, but it almost seems like he's trying to force it in the offensive zone. Like, hopefully
what I want to see, Ross, is DeBrincat just enter the zone on the wing and rip one past a goalie. No fancy play, nothing. You are an elite sniper with a lethal shot. Just beat a goalie clean on a simple play. That's what I want to see, even strength. That's what he was brought in to do.
The Ottawa Senators morning skate is just about to begin in Dallas. We are recording at about noon Eastern time. Again, with the late puck drop, we gave ourselves a little window here where we could get the latest line combinations, hear from Coach DJ Smith. We'll do from that a little bit later on in the show. But coming up after the break, Ian Mendez, who's been all over the Senators' ownership transition, or should I say sale, because nothing's been transitioned just yet. They still have to identify who the front runners are. But to me, if you're interested in buying the Ottawa Senators and have been on record as wanting them, and then you sell not about 10% of your shares in a company that's worth $87 million. I mean, that I'm just putting two and two together here, Pilsy. We'll put on our tinfoil hats, get our Inspector Gadget shirts out, and we'll go from there. But Pilsy, this episode is brought to you by
our friends over at Shawarma Palace, Ross. Oh my God. I cannot wait to get back to Ottawa for some Shawarma Palace. And Ross, we've been talking about this, and we've been kind of putting out feelers there from people that go to Shawarma Palace. Next time we're there, I'm pulling the trigger on a poutine. I gotta try this poutine. I'm a big poutine guy. I love Shawarma Palace. Put those two things together, I think it's gonna be absolutely delicious. But the great thing about Shawarma Palace is when you are there, you are getting delicious quality food and quantity. We always talk about how much food you get if you get the platters. You're gonna be full from that meal and have leftovers. It's absolutely incredible. Check out any of their 9 locations in the Ottawa area. And if you're not near any of those locations, or you're feeling a little lazy, that's okay. They have Uber Eats available. You can get that delivered right to your door. There's so many things we love about Shawarma Palace. Ross especially, I don't think I've ever seen you order anything other than the shawarma chicken platter. Maybe the wrap once in a while.
Yeah, the wrap. I think I had the wrap before the home opener because, you don't want to be too full. You got to
Well, and you've got all that extra food. Like, you can't just bring it home right away. We were on our way to the game. So that is a good problem to have with Shawarma Palace. So, guys, you got to check it out today. Any of their 9 locations. We are so happy to share our love of Shawarma Palace with you, the listeners. Next time you go to Shawarma, drop us a line and let us know how it is, and let them know that Locked On Senators podcast sent you.
We absolutely love our friends at Shawarma Palace. How about them partnering with the Ottawa Senators too? Is there a real world where we could see Ottawa Senators home games where you can grab a shawarma in the building?
Gotta happen. It gotta happen, because it's the thing I love about Shawarma Palace too, Ross, is they're quick. Like, there's usually a lineup when you go in there because, I mean, it's a popular place, good food, but it takes no time at all for them to get through. They got a great system going on there, which I really appreciate.
So go check them out today, and remember that Senators game days taste better at Shawarma Palace. We've also got a quick word from our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Go to BetOnline right now and see all the props. Player performance props is something I like to do because they're fun. It gives you another angle when your team maybe doesn't win a whole lot. You can find other things, the game within the game, where you can bet on Brady over 3.5 shots, cash money, 17 out of 25 times so far. That's hit this year. You can also go check out podcasts, news, articles, everything to make you the best you can when it comes to the world of online wagering. Do it responsibly, but do it at BetOnline. All the latest odds, news, player performance props, as I said, it's betonline.net. It's where the game starts. All right, Pilsy. Anton Forsberg is in the starter's end at the morning skate in Dallas.
That is the correct
Magnus
move.
Hellberg.
I know. I was so sad that when I looked back at their first game up against Dallas, I was like, oh, which Tendy played that game? Magnus Hellberg.
Yeah, remember we were saying, we're like, hey, shouldn't Hellberg play against Arizona? No, he was up for the test of the Dallas Stars. So
yep, perfect record with your Ottawa Senators, Magnus Hellberg.
Yeah, 1-0-0. Meanwhile, Anton Forsberg is 5-7-1 this season, a .320 goals against and a .910 save percentage. Those two aren't often together. You have a .910 save percentage. Usually you're under 3 in terms of goals against average, but that's just the season it's been for the Ottawa Senators. Anton Forsberg was perfect after coming in in relief of Cam Talbot on Saturday and on Tuesday. My days of the week are all messed up.
Same.
I had like the Saturday, Sunday off for my 5-day period last week, and then Monday, Tuesday this week. So I had 4 in a row. It's just put me in a complete mental pretzel, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get to a full game day preview coming up, but quickly, Pilsy, I just wanted to update, and we haven't really been staying on the pulse of this each step of the way. We're kind of waiting to learn who the preferred party is that's going to buy the Ottawa Senators, how much are they paying, who's in the consortium, who's going to be a part of it. But Michael Andauer seems like a guy who is going to be in the mix. Andlauer, I should say, is his name. He's a transportation, healthcare type guy. He got into finance as well. Basically, he's a billionaire. He's got a $1.2 billion net worth. And people are pointing out on Twitter like, hey, I know that B word sounds pretty enticing, but Eugene Melnyk was also a billionaire. So people are still thinking that he'll need a group to buy the Ottawa Senators, which I think it's for the best interest of everyone to have multiple voices, multiple owners of a sports team, because we've seen what happens when it's just one guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Ross. In today's world, there's not many sports teams left where there's like one guy. Like you got like the Jerry Joneses of the Cowboys and guys like that, but it's really very rare now, because when you get into the hundreds of millions of dollars to acquire a team, most people that are that rich don't put all their eggs in one basket, and especially when it's a sports team. So I'd be surprised if this is a one-man show type thing, but Michael Andlauer certainly has the deep pockets of a sugar daddy if Ryan Reynolds is looking for that. And Ross, maybe toss in another famous Canadian into the mix. How about Shania Twain calling out Ryan Reynolds in one of her recent performances of, I think it's That Don't Impress Me Much. Usually she says, so you're Brad Pitt, but this time she's like, so you think you're Ryan Reynolds? And he was in the crowd for that. So maybe those two get together. As we know, she is an Ontario native, and maybe she could add some fun to this team of people trying to buy the Sens.
Yeah, shout out Timmins, Ontario. I actually replied to her. I said, hey, interested in joining a consortium of sorts? But a side note, how many award shows does Hollywood have? I feel like I only started following Ryan Reynolds when the interest came up with the Ottawa Senators on social media. These guys are at different award shows like every other week. How many awards are there?
Too many awards, honestly. Too many. But if there are award shows, Ryan Reynolds deserves to be at them and winning them. We will pander towards Ryan Reynolds, yes.
Nice save. I was going to say, name a more iconic duo of Hollywood actors and patting themselves on the back. Like, that's all this is. It's like, wow, you are so amazing. You make the world a better place because of you, your talent, who you are, what you stand for. It's just so beautiful. Here's an award.
And for Ryan Reynolds, that is all true. So, yes.
All right. So Michael Andlauer has sold $68 million of his shares in one of his companies. And to me, why else would you want to be so liquid right now, huh?
Maybe he's going on a vacation.
Yeah, sick vacation. I'll pander to this guy if he's taking me on a $68 million vacation.
Yeah, you wouldn't be worried about your Vancouver hotel fees if you were going on vacation with him.
No, by the way, in the comments, let me know what the play is in Vancouver. I got one night, I got about 16 hours, but I have to be at the airport at 6:30 in the morning. So I'm nervous about sleeping in. Can't miss that flight, Pills. He can't leave you down in Cabo alone. But yeah, let us know in the comments that. Again, not anything to report on the sale, but I did find that interesting, and so did Ian Mendez. Ian put together a great primer about the sale, all the interested parties. So point people in that direction there. All right, Senators are now skating. Let's hit a quick final break and then a full game day preview. Before we get to that, though, I do want to let everyone know to head over to lockedon.senators on Instagram. Our friends over at Farm to Fork have been generous enough to offer a holiday meal for 4, Christmas dinner for 4. We know Christmas is all about family, all about getting together with your loved ones. Well, how about not having to cook? What a win that is. So our friends over at Farm to Fork are offering a full Christmas dinner. Your choice as well, whether it's turkey or whether you're going to go with the ham. It's all up to you. I'm pulling it up if you're watching on YouTube.
Ross, while you're doing this, what's your choice, the turkey or ham?
Turkey.
Yeah, I'm turkey. Easy turkey option here. But I do love ham.
Yes, and I like the choice. Having the choice is really the key here. So head over. The giveaway is on our Instagram. Make sure you're following Farm to Fork Delivery Canada and LockedOn.Senators. Go check that out. All right. Nice little ad there for our friends over at Farm to Fork. We appreciate them. Martian got his care package. Meth is too. By the way, Meth is coming back. Brought back a little virus from Jamaica. So he will be back for part 5 coming up here next week on Locked On Senators. Working on Claire as well. Claire Hanna will join us from TSN, and we'll get some interviews going because we love our Sen Central citizens, but we haven't had any guests on in a little while. So it's time to get back to that. But right now, it's a game day. So coming up, let's get into some line combinations, and there's some players to look out for on Dallas. Stay locked on Senators wherever you're listening. All right, Pillsy. Sorry, I'm dying laughing. We are getting multiple replies. You know what? We pull up tweets sometimes, don't we, Pills?
We do. We have been known to do that on this show.
Hilarious. So I'm here like, hey, $1.2 billion? Like, that's not bad. And every single comment that we've received is like, that's it? Just hope he's a piece of the puzzle. If not, this is Melnick all over again. Was hoping with someone with deeper pockets, to be fair. We need deeper pockets than that. Next. Concerning. Needs more partners. Has $1 billion ever been less valuable than it is right now? That's what I'm learning, Pills.
Yeah, wow. Imagine being a peasant with just one Billy. Yikes.
Oh my goodness gracious. Wow, here's a nice little view. Wow. Josh Norris is on the ice. It is a non-contact jersey still, but great to see them bring Josh Norris on the road to Dallas.
Yeah, I like that he's on the road. I feel like he's a big part of the culture of this team. Hopefully he doesn't drop too much soup on the plane on the way there, but I still, Ross, this only puts a slight smile on my face. I am still very cautiously optimistic about Josh Norris returning. So it's nice to see, but I'm not getting too excited about it.
Like if again, Pilsy, not a doctor, but if he's consistently skating with the team, traveling with the team, I don't know. I think that's a good sign.
Like, last I checked, you don't skate with your shoulder, though.
Yeah, but hey, I know he's wearing his non-contact.
Just
but
saying.
Yeah, you know what? Fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. Understood. As we're getting set for game 26 of the season for the Ottawa Senators. Pilsy, if you had to guess if there were any lineup changes here at this morning's skate, would you say there is or there isn't?
Other than Forsberg starting instead of Talbot, I will go with no lineup changes.
You're correct. However, no, actually, you're not. There's a minor one. I was looking at the top of the lineup. You know, we were talking about how the top 6, do you try to spark that to Brinkett, Batherson? I know Batherson scored his first goal in 10 games against on Tuesday.
On the power play, though.
On the power play, again, even strength is a struggle. But before we get to the Ottawa Senators, because I'm going to make the graphic here, I'm kind of doing it on the fly right now. Let's pull up the Dallas Stars lineup. I will say, though, there is a lineup change expected. Again, DJ Smith about to speak to the media, but let's start with the Dallas Stars.
Nice. You want to read those off, Ross?
No, all you.
Just kidding. So we got Jason Robertson here, who, what a bum. Point streak not continued up against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not worried about him at all. Rupe Hintz centering that line with Joe Pavelski. Man, this guy is an ageless wonder. He keeps it going. Mason Marchment with Radek Faksa and Tyler Seguin. Jamie Benn with Wyatt Johnson and Delandria. Then fourth line of Kiviranta, Glendening, and Gurianov. Now on to the defense. You got Miro Heiskanen with Nick Lundqvist. Esa Lindell with Hakanpää. Ryan Suter, Ross's favorite NHL player, with Colin Miller, and we have received confirmation that tonight's starting goalie will be Jake Ottinger.
Ooh, Jake Ottinger, who hasn't played Ottawa. It was Scott Wedgwood in goal for the Dallas Stars back on that fateful October night when everything was sunny. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. The vibes were immaculate. Was that their fourth straight win? It was. It was their fourth straight win. That's a game where we had our friends in the 100s. We had Calvin and Riley in the 100s of that game.
Yep.
And then they lost 7 in a row. But God, that 4-2 win was fun, wasn't it?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, not gonna lie. We were feeling pretty good about that 4-game win streak.
Who is your lookout player on this Stars team?
My lookout player on this Stars team is Rupe Hintz, the top line center. This guy was on fire the last couple games before the Leafs shut them out. In Minnesota, although it was a shootout loss, he had a hat trick and an assist. Ross, he had 3 goals on 3 shots, 100% shooting success rate. So people kind of raised their eyebrows when they saw Rupe Hintz with his massive, massive new deal. But I think it's similar to the Tim Stützle situation. If you're a Dallas Stars fan, they know what they've got in Rupe Hintz, and they're betting on the long-term upside. Same with the Ottawa Senators and Tim Stützle, and I would say they're fairly similar players, actually. So their comparisons are pretty... It makes a lot of sense there. So I'm going to be looking out for Rupe Hintz.
Yes, I like that. Over a point per game player. He's got 30 points in 25 games, right? That whole top line is clicking. And it almost has a similar aesthetic as the Ottawa Senators top line, right? You've got a big, powerful left winger, Jason Robertson, Brady Tkachuk. You've got an up-and-coming centerman, Rupe Hintz, Tim Stützle, and an ageless wonder in Joe Pavelski and Claude Giroux on the right side. Now, the only difference is there's some more depth on this Dallas Stars team. Heck, their captain's on the third line playing with an up-and-coming stud in Wyatt Johnston. But I'm going to stick on the top line, Pillsy, because somebody has to pick Jason Robertson. We can't have a lookout player, expect to be credible, and not have the NHL's, third leading scorer overall? Obviously, it's always McDavid and Draisaitl, 1 and 2. Yes, third place, only 1 point behind Draisaitl. Sorry, 3 points behind, but 1 less game played than Draisaitl. This guy is just an absolute unit.
Is he leading in goals, though, with 23? Gotta be.
He's second. McDavid, if you ever heard of him, he's got 24. Wow. But Jason Robertson, 23 goals on the season. And I knew last year, I was at a game last year in Winnipeg where Dallas comes to town. They win 4-3 in overtime. Robertson gets a hat trick, including the overtime winner. And I was like, okay, I got to keep my eye on this guy. Sure enough, he scores 41 goals last year. And now he is doubling down on how elite of a talent he is. We talk about the 18-game point streak, and not only that, but how many points he's contributing on this streak, and 34 of them, and half coming at even strength. Sorry, even more so. Half his goals have come at even strength. So you're looking at a guy who contributes, whether it's 5-on-5, 5-on-4, he still has some power play points to him as well, but just an incredible skater. And if you're a fan of hockey, you got to be a fan of this kid in Jason Robertson.
Yep, definitely. And I left that one for you. I mean, 2 good players, Rupe Hintz and Jason Robertson. These guys are going to be the future that kind of Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn are going to be passing the torch to them, as it's already kind of happening here. So definitely the depth on this Dallas Stars team is something to be very nervous about.
26 games played this year. Jason Robertson has 14 multi-point games.
Insane. Wow.
Insane. And you can even double down. He's got 5 multi-goal games as well. So super impressive season so far for Jason Robertson. He also just seems like a really good guy. Like, there's a lot of videos that have come out. I saw one where this young child had like a Filipino flag. Obviously, that's Jason Robertson's heritage, and he's got that waving. He went and met him after the game, gave him a stick, and just had a great conversation with him. They asked him in Winnipeg, too, because it's a big Filipino population here. And he's like, oh, I had no idea, but that's really cool. After he had the hat trick, he's like, yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I had something, I guess, a little bit more long-winded to say than that, but it was super cool to see how he's kind of taking on being sort of a face of the NHL. And I think at his young age, it's only going to get better and better. Hey, how about the 2017 draft for the Dallas Stars?
Oh my God.
Miro Heiskanen, top 5, like easier to, hit a lottery on the top 5 pick. Then they got Jake Ottinger at the end of the first round. And then Jason Robertson to start the second round.
Oh my
How you
God.
build a franchise through
No
one
kidding.
single draft.
Yeah, because that team never really rebuilt. They've always been in the playoff mix. Now, no deep playoff runs, but they've always been a successful team. Well, yeah, they go to the finals. Yeah, fair. But that was
COVID.
And let's be honest, they had no business beating the Tampa Bay Lightning in that. I mean, they had heavy injuries, but there was no chance there. So, yeah, this has been a good team for a while, and they've been able to draft and develop really good, too.
They also beat the Colorado Avalanche, who had Michael Hutchinson in goal.
Yeah, honestly. And I think, was that when the Hamburglar got in goal for some playoff games, too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a very injured Colorado team. But hey, they got to the Cup final. That was in the bubble, playing against Tampa. Tampa got their first Cup there. All right, as we move to the Ottawa Senators, we teased it. There is a lineup change. It looks like Parker Kelly is on the outside looking in, Pilsy, and this seems overdue, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. And not to get too hard on Parker Kelly, but he's just not at a point where he's someone that you can securely put in your lineup every single night. And that's fine, because that fourth line needs to be reworked too. We love Austin Watson, but it's really starting to show that there's not a lot of value he can bring on the ice here still.
Just feels like it's run its course. So he's been here for 3 years.
That's the thing. So
he's still in the mix, though. As we pull up the lineups, if you're watching on YouTube's top line stays the same. Tim Stützle between Brady Tkachuk and Claude Giroux. The second line is Shane Pinto between Alex DeBrincat and Drake Batherson. DJ Smith going to allow them to continue to try to figure it out on their own. The third line, Dylan Gambrell between Tyler Mott and Mathieu Joseph, and Derek Brassard will play left wing on the fourth line, at least to start, with Mark Kastelik and Austin Watson. On defense, Thomas Chabot, Nikita Zaitsev, Jake Sanderson, and Travis Hamonic, and Eric Brandstrom with Nick Holden. We already talked about Forsberg's numbers. He's 5-7-1 with a .360 goals against and a .910 save percentage. Note, Dylan Hetherington has been called up for the trip. He will be an extra defenseman. And we put Parker Kelly on the outside looking in. Josh Norris skating with the team, still injured. Artem Zub out for the next about 3 weeks from now. And Jacob Bernard Docker still recovering from that high ankle sprain. Pilsy, your locked on player.
My locked on player, and we talked about it, got to get DeBrincat and Batherson going, is going to be Shane Pinto. Ross, last time the Ottawa Senators played up against the Dallas Stars, Shane Pinto was riding a 5-game goal streak. It has been very tough for Pinto since then. And he has a goal recently, but other than that, it's just 1 assist and 1 goal. So 2 goals and 1 assist, I think, in his last 10 or maybe even 15 games. It has really gone cold for Shane Pinto here. And if this team's going to have any success up against a team with depth like the Dallas Stars, they got to get DeBrincat and Batherson going. And that starts with Shane Pinto in my mind. So I will be locked on to Shane Pinto this game.
Oh, it would just be such a huge move for him to be able to, contribute to this team, because that line on paper, you like it, right? On paper, it looks good. They're just not figuring out ways to score goals 5-on-5.
Yeah, talking about on paper looking good, though, I don't think I could construct a more jumbled bottom 6 than this. These lines make no sense. I know they don't have a lot of options here, but Mott with Gambrell and Joseph, I don't know, that it just seems like you're really stifling Joseph on that line. No offense to Mott and Gambrell, but they're much more defensive guys. And then Casti and Watson with Brassard, what is Brassard going to get done on a fourth physical line with 7 minutes or 8 minutes a night? I don't know. This is not how I would have drawn it up, I guess, is what I'll say here.
I guess with Derek Brassard, I'd just say the problem with that fourth line is every time they touch it, they chip it. There's no puck possession at all. So maybe they're hey, Brass, I know you're playing the wing, but can you just hold on to pucks and at least try to carry it over the blue line every once in a while? Maybe that's not how they want their fourth line to play. Yeah. But if you're playing Derek Brassard, you're not telling him to chip and chase.
Yeah.
I don't think that's his game. Going to be hard on the forecheck and crash and bang like Casty and Watson would do. But you're right. This lineup is strange to me, and we'll touch on it at the end of the show about the Belleville Sens. But there's a couple guys down there I think who are ready to come up and make an impact at the NHL level. So hopefully we'll be able to see at least one, if not both of them soon. Maybe not too soon though, because I wouldn't mind seeing our friends of the show when they
Yeah.
come to Winnipeg in a week and a half's time. My locked on player tonight, I'm struggling because I was initially going to go with Drake Batherson, but you already kind of mentioned Pinto to get him going, but I'll stick with it. Drake Batherson's my locked on player. Hopefully that one goal will kind of steamroll into the next, into the next, into the next. But right now it's just feeling, and hey, now he's on a point streak. Remember, he had those 2 assists against San Jose as well, but like the points still kind of find their way to Drake, even though he hasn't been playing well, right? 20 points in 25 games. You're like, hey, that's pretty sweet. But the way it's been going for him recently, it's just like off the puck. He doesn't seem like the same player. He's not
Yeah.
being physical. He's not being, that pain in the ass to play against. But sure enough, in his last 6 games, he has 6 points, right? So it's almost like less about production with why you want more from Drake and more about what he's doing to make either open space for his teammates, simplifying his game. Like how many times has he over stick handled and lost possession of the puck this year? It feels like way more than in previous years. Is he getting too comfortable at the NHL level where it's like, hey, before when you're trying to work your way into that top line role, it's like, hey, I need to get the coach's trust. I think it's probably less that and more just like gripping the stick. Like things haven't been going my way. Started off so strong. I want to say he was top 10 in league scoring for a while there, Pillsy, at the start of the year when they were on that 4-game heater. Like the last time they met Dallas, he might have been top 10 in the league in scoring, but certainly it's fallen off since then. And it's just a matter of, I think, getting back to the basics for him and try to get your teammates in open space and use some speed because we haven't seen a whole lot of speed out of number 19 this year.
Yeah, and Ross, the cute passes I'm getting sick of. Like, I know sometimes they work. Like, he had a really nice pass to set up to Brinkett a couple games ago, but the drop passes are just random, and I don't like where he's trying to go with a lot of his passes lately. So that's been a big issue for me and Drake Batherson there.
Yeah. All right. Your key to improvement or victory tonight?
I mean, I'm gonna stick with key to victory because this is one way that I expect if the Sens will win, this must be done. And Ross,
4-2 in their last 6. We should say it's not doom and gloom. It's a matter of this is almost where it's like, hey, are you just gonna win 2, lose 1, win 2, lose 2, like just not really have any stretches where you're streaking together, or are you gonna be like, okay, hey, 5 wins in their last 7 would look good.
yeah, it would look better. That's for sure. But with no Zoop here and with the way the other 9 forwards are playing on this team, I don't know. It just looks tough up against a team like Dallas. But the thing I was getting into, Ross, is the Dallas Stars were just shut out by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and some I don't know who this goalie is playing for the Leafs. Mike something. Oh, Matt Murray. Right. Yeah. Enjoy him while he's hot, Leafs fans, because he's going to cool down here.
You know, it's crazy that Dallas Stars actually have a goalie in their system named
Matt Murray. Yeah, I remember a little while ago they signed him, and it's like Dallas Stars signed Matt Murray. Everyone's like, "What? How is this happening?" But that irony is very funny. But this is a long-winded way for me to get to my point. Is the Toronto Maple Leafs shut out that power play, Ross? The Dallas Stars went 0 for 7 up against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jason Robertson had nearly 9 minutes of power play time, and nothing was produced out of that. And that's with Matt Murray and that decor over in Toronto, which right now arguably is probably just as bad as the Ottawa Senators decor. They are dealing with a lot of injuries. So if the Toronto Maple Leafs can hold them to 0-7 on the power play, the Ottawa Senators should be able to do something similar. And if they have any chance in hell of winning this game, they're going to need to do that. So my key to victory is the penalty kill has to be not decent, not good, not great. It has to be perfect if this team has any chance of winning this game.
Well, the penalty kill for Dallas is always good. Third in the National Hockey League right now, 83.8%. Their power play is 25.9, which is just a hair shy from where Ottawa
Yep.
sits. Ottawa is up at 26.9, but they've been red hot recently. However, my key to victory is get some depth scoring. If the Senators get at least 2, hopefully 3 goals beyond their top line,
Imagine.
I think they're in good shape tonight.
I don't think it's going to happen, Ross. We looked at a 13 game sample size, Ross, and the next highest forward was Joseph with 3 even strength. Was that points or goals?
Goal. I hope it's not points, but it might have been.
I hope it's not points.
Oh, I still have that. I still have that pulled up right in here. Points. Even strength goals for Joseph 0.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So the Ottawa Senators even strength goal scoring leaders beyond the top line in the last now. And this is a nice sample size that we've given them. This is from when they've started winning. They're 6-6-1. Like, you can't get a more hand-picked sample size of them having the most success they've had all year. The only players outside of Giroux who has 4, Stützle and Brady both have 3. And even that, it's like, it's okay, but it's like,
that's not great. Yeah.
it's not like world beaters right here. Then Shane Pinto has 2 even strength goals over that stretch in 13 games. And Derek Brassard has 2 even strength goals in 11 games. He missed 2 with injury. Those are the only players with more than 1 even strength goal. And just for completeness sake, here are the names of the other players with one even strength goal over that period. Travis Hamonic, Austin Watson, Artem Zub, Thomas Chabot, and Alex DeBrincat. They need more.
Yeah. They need some. They need, like, just a little.
They need more at even strength. So my key to victory is get some depth scoring at even strength. All right, Pilsy, to wrap up today's show, let's touch on the Belleville Senators.
Yeah.
Angus Crookshank beauty goal last night. How about that save by Antoine Bibeau? Oh my God. The glove save, up a goal with 2.5 minutes. That's highlight reel material.
Yeah, Antoine Bibeau, man, this guy has looked great. We have to give him his stick taps and his props, because in a year where Mando and Sogard have been injured, and Mando even on the bench for the Ottawa Senators for a decent amount of time, Magnus Hellberg being brought into the fold, like all this crazy goalie carousel stuff, Antoine Bibeau has been pretty solid for the Belleville Senators, and they get a 4-2 win up against the Marlies. And talk about the Leafs franchise penalty killing recently, Ross. The Marlies were shut out 0 for 6 on the power play up against the Senators were 0 for 6 on the power play up against the Marlies. Not sure if I messed that up there. But Antoine Bibeau standing tall, like we mentioned. The Marlies outshoot the Senators 37-28, and the Sens come with a 4-2 victory here. So you love to see that, as those divisional games in the AHL are absolutely crucial.
They certainly are. 12 times they play each other. And you mentioned off the top, a kind of weird Logan Shaw, getting to see him wear the C for a different AHL team.
Oh, I don't like that at all. We were big Logan Shaw guys. We had his dad, Gerard Shaw, on the podcast. Absolute beauty. East Coaster, that's for damn sure. And Logan Shaw was captain of Belleville for a bit. Now he goes over to the Marlies. He's now the captain. And Ross, on top of that, Belleville's captain, Dylan Hetherington, is up with the big club. So this team is in need of leadership, and they don't have to look very far, as guys like Igor Sokolov, Jake Lucchini, those guys, Rook Chartier, Crooker, they've been carrying this team pretty much all season, as they've been the top guys, and we love to see that.
So, and Logan Shaw, shout out, good East Coast boy. We appreciate him. You know, he's tied for 5th in AHL scoring this year. It's pretty impressive.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, he got a 3-year deal from the Marlies, and I'm sure AHL money, it's being paid a lot. So good on him.
Definitely well deserved. And that's the thing, like, Logan Shaw is at a point now. I think he just had a kid as well, so he's a family guy. So he's looking for stability. The up and down of the Mindsies maybe isn't what he's looking for. He's looking for a stable, good deal in the AHL. And we know the Toronto Marlies, they have no problem spending big bucks to keep guys playing for them.
Well, and he wanted to continue his Canadian tour, right? He's
Yeah,
played
no
with
kidding.
the Moose, the Winnipeg Jets, the Toronto Marlies. Did he get any games with the Leafs yet? He got games with the Montreal Canadiens. He got
Yep.
games with the Ottawa Senators, the Belleville Senators, the Cape Breton Screaming Eagles, the Quebec Ramparts. This guy's played in every town
That's
in Canada.
crazy.
It's actually super cool. But enough about him. Talk about the Belleville Senators here. Jake Lucchini, point per game. Igor Sokolov, 21 points in 22 games. Even Crooker getting back up in the mix. He's got 15 points in 22 games. Rick Chartier up there as well. Cole Reinhardt having a good season down there. Like, if Ottawa can't figure out this depth scoring issue, is one of those guys on your radar to come up and potentially get more than just a fourth line opportunity with the big club?
Yeah, I've mentioned it a couple times, and I'm going to stick with it. Igor Sokolov, I think, is ready. Like we said, he's not really a prospect anymore. He was drafted a couple years ago. He's been
He was an overager, right, when he got drafted. So he's
yes.
22 years old for the rest of the year. He turns 23 in June.
And that's the thing. He's got the size he can handle playing in the pros. He's been a leader in Belleville for multiple seasons now. And the thing too with Igor Sokolov that, you know, obviously we've been Igor guys. He's a friend of the show, a friend of ours. I met him over out east when I went there, and we had a quick chat. He's a great dude. But the thing that always kind of hindered me from saying and declaring that he's NHL ready was his skating. That's no longer an issue. He's dropped a lot of pounds. He's a lot leaner now. He's skating quicker. He's got good agility. He's better on his edges. So I really think he's ready. And if you're asking me, do I prefer Tyler Mott or giving Igor Sokolov a chance on the third line? I'm ready to give a chance to Igor here because I think Mott can really help out that fourth line in the ways that they need. And Igor is the perfect third line guy. I think you give him 12 to 15 minutes a night and put him on a line with guys like Derek Brassard and Matthew Joseph. I think they can create some offense. So that's what I'd like to see, Ross.
And I'm right with you. I would say speed is always going to be what he's catching up to at the NHL level. But with his IQ and his shot, like those are lethal weapons when it comes to putting the puck in the net.
Definitely.
And that's what Ottawa needs. The other thing the team wanted him to work on over the summer was consistency. Remember, he spoke about Troy Mann. How are you going to be consistent? How are you going to not let one bad game turn into two, turn into three? Well, in his last 11 games, you can even go back in his last 13 games, he has a point in 10 out of his last 13 and never no points in back-to-back games. This guy, he's able to bounce back. He's he's producing. I just don't know what more they want from him before they give him this opportunity. Because like we were saying, this guy's 22. And sometimes it's like, hey, like, you know, we want them to put on some weight. Like Ridley Gregg, right? Great player, but it's like, hey, we want him to battle against pros.
He needs 6 protein shakes a day for Ridley Gregg.
Yeah, I mean, Igor's a beast. Like, I don't know. I'd give him a shot here if they can't figure it out here with the depth scoring soon. But the title of this episode, can the Ottawa Senators depth produce? Finally, please. Maybe that's a little wordy. We'll figure it out. But yes, your first listen every day. Make sure you head to the Instagram page. Get into the Farm to Fork giveaway. That's a great initiative by them. Derek's a beauty. We like working with him. And make sure you grab a Shawarma Palace because it is an Ottawa Senators game day. Pillsy, any final thoughts for you before we go?
Final thoughts for me are I'll hit them with the lowercase go Sens go here. Lowercase go Sens go. Yeah, I'm a little nervous about this game, but it's an Ottawa Senators game day, so I'm happy to get to watch the game. And whether we win or lose, the postcast is always great. So we'll see y'all in the postcast. I threw the y'all in there for the Texas fans, for our guy Zach.
Yeehaw. Well, the last time these two teams met, Ottawa got the better of the Dallas Stars. I want to say, how did it go last year? I want to say Ottawa won both games. They did. Ottawa has won their last 3 straight games against the Dallas Stars. If we go back to no, Ottawa went 0-2 against Dallas.
Let's just hold it there then. Yep.
Oh, 1-1, but the Sens won in overtime for that. But since COVID, the Ottawa Senators have not lost to the Dallas Stars. They are 3-0. So sample size is growing. Shane Pinto has 2 points in 2 games against Dallas as well. Something to keep an eye on here tonight as depth scoring remains key. My final thoughts is we'll see in the postcast. It might be a little bit of a later start for the postcast. I would say expect us to go live at 12:10 Eastern time. So I think the game will probably end 11:45, give or take, but 12:10. We will be coming on the postcast. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.